The movie opens with a middle-aged man named John, whose eyes flutter open in a sterile hospital room. He's just survived a devastating car accident that claimed the lives of his wife and young daughter, leaving him as the sole survivor, shattered and alone in his grief. A few months later, as John begins to recover physically, though his heart remains in tatters, he makes a resolute decision. He needs to escape to a quiet, secluded spot to let his mind heal and find some semblance of peace. His brother-in-law owns a remote cabin nestled deep in the woods, far from the chaos of everyday life, and John figures it's the perfect place to distract himself from the relentless waves of sorrow crashing over him. He packs lightly and heads there, hoping the isolation will mend what medicine couldn't. Upon arriving at the cabin, John encounters a local police officer who eyes him curiously and asks who he is and what brings him to this out-of-the-way spot. John introduces himself calmly, explaining that the cabin belongs to a relative and that he's there just to stay for a few days, seeking solitude. The officer nods but offers a peculiar warning. The area is overrun with aggressive monkeys that have been known to break into homes and attack intruders. He urges John to keep all windows and doors securely locked, or risk a chaotic invasion. With that sobering advice, John steps inside, the weight of his solitude settling in once more. Inside the dim cabin, John pours himself a glass of wine, the amber liquid a temporary balm for his frayed nerves. But the pull of the nearby sea is too strong to ignore, so he wanders down to the shore, strips down, and immerses himself in the cool, salty waves, letting the water wash away some of the invisible grime of his loss. As he emerges and makes his way back toward the cabin, towel draped over his shoulders, he spots 3 people bathing in the distance, one of them a young woman. When she notices him watching, she blushes deeply and ducks underwater, vanishing like a shy siren. John's gaze lingers a moment too long, and in that instant, something stirs within him, a flicker of inexplicable attraction, as if her fleeting presence has pierced the fog of his morning. Returning to the cabin, John sinks into a haze of smoking and drinking, the cigarettes burning away at his lungs as fiercely as the memories scorch his soul. Visions of his wife and daughter flood his mind, unbidden and merciless. He berates himself endlessly, tears streaming down his face. If only he hadn't dozed off behind the wheel that fateful day, the accident never would have happened. His family would still be alive, laughing whole. The self-loathing consumes him, leaving him curled up in the corner, sobbing until exhaustion claims him. The next morning, as John ventures out for a walk along the shore to clear his pounding head, a faint, heartbreaking sound catches his ear, the unmistakable sob of a girl in distress. Drawn by the noise, he follows it to a secluded spot and finds her, the same young woman from the sea, her face streaked with tears. She startles at the sight of him, scrambling back in fear, accusing him of stalking her. John raises his hands placatingly, insisting he means no harm, that he's just out for a stroll. As she wipes her eyes, he notices dark bruises shadowing the skin beneath them, faint but telling marks of violence. Gently, he asks who did this to her, but his concern only ignites her panic. She screams, demanding to know if he's come with money. If not, she'll scream louder, claim he tried to assault her, drag him into a nightmare of accusations. Terrified and bewildered, John backs away, his heart racing. Shaken to his core, John hurries to the nearby general store to buy supplies. Groceries, more wine, anything to steady his nerves, and pockets some loose change for the road. As he's about to leave, the same police officer appears, casually inquiring if everything's all right. John forces a nod, mumbling assurances, and slips away. Backtracking to where he last saw the girl, he finds her gone, vanished into the ether. But when he finally reaches the cabin, his stomach drops. Her bicycle is propped right outside his door, a silent, ominous invitation. That night, John drowns his anxieties in another round of drinks, the alcohol blurring the edges of reality. A sudden rustle from inside the cabin jolts him upright. Surely one of those damned monkeys, he thinks, grabbing a nearby pan as a makeshift weapon. Heart pounding, he creeps toward the noise, ready to swing. But the room is empty, save for a child's bedroom tucked in the corner, its tiny bed and faded toys a gut-wrenching echo of his lost daughter. Overwhelmed, John collapses there, clutching at ghosts, weeping uncontrollably for the little girl he'll never hold again. The following morning brings a fragile calm. Out on the beach, John spots the girl again, this time walking home with her father and younger brother. Seizing the moment, he calls out to her, reminding her that she left her bike outside his cabin and inviting her to come retrieve it. Her father, a stern-looking man, overhears and demands to know who this stranger is. The girl says nothing, just bolts away in a flush of embarrassment and fear, leaving John standing awkwardly in the sand. As dusk falls, the girl's father, introducing himself as Rolf, knocks on John's door, his face etched with regret. He apologizes profusely for his daughter's rude behavior, explaining that she's been through hell. Rolf offers John a glass of water, a small gesture of neighborly kindness, and gently probes, "Doesn't John have a family of his own?" The question hangs heavy, and John, his voice cracking, reveals the raw wound of his loss. how just months ago, a tragic incident here stole his wife from him. Rolf leans in, his eyes darkening with shared pain, and offers to share his own story if it might ease the burden. With a deep breath, Rolf recounts the nightmare that shattered his world. One ordinary evening as he enjoyed time with his family, a gang of burglars burst into their home. They held the family hostage at gunpoint, rifling through drawers and cabinets in a frenzy of theft. But the horror escalated when one of the intruders forced Rolf's mouth open and urinated inside, a vile degradation that left him gagging in humiliation. Worse still, they turned their leering attention to his daughter, groping her with sickening intent. Rage boiled over in Rolf as his wife lunged to protect their girl, only for the thieves to silence her forever with brutal blows. She died right there, in the home that should have been their sanctuary. John listens in stunned silence, murmuring condolences for the unimaginable brutality. Rolf presses, desperate for reciprocity. What tragedy befell John's own life? But John shakes his head, the words too jagged to form just yet. He can't speak of the accident, not now. The next day, John heads to the grocery store, where the kind-hearted owner notices the bottle of wine in his basket. Another one already. She places a comforting hand on his, her voice soft and maternal. "Everything will be okay in time, dear. Hang in there." Touched by her empathy, John steps outside, only to freeze at the sight of the girl, Jackie, as he'll soon learn, sitting rigidly in her car, staring straight ahead. He offers a tentative smile, but she doesn't return it, her expression a mask of guarded turmoil. Back at the cabin, John finds a woman lingering outside, fanning herself against the oppressive heat. She asks for a glass of water, and he invites her in without hesitation. As she drinks, she explains her dire straits. She's desperate for work, any work, to make ends meet. John, moved by her plight, offers her a simple meal from his sparse pantry and insists he has no chores to offer just yet. Undeterred, she rolls up her sleeves and starts scrubbing his dirty dishes in the sink, her hands moving with practiced efficiency. In his clumsy attempt to stop her, to spare her the trouble, John grabs for a glass. It slips, shatters, and a shard slices deep into her hand. Blood wells up instantly and she winces in agony. Mortified, John begs her forgiveness and rushes her straight to Rolf's place for proper care. Rolf tends to the wound with steady hands, bandaging it neatly while inquiring if John fancies light fare for lunch. John nods. Yes, something simple sounds good. They all gather around the table, Rolf, his children Jackie and Simon, John, and the injured woman, whose name is Dora, for a modest meal. Conversation flows tentatively until Rolf spots Simon pushing his food around his plate, barely touched. Irritation flares in Rolf's eyes. He snatches the fork, his voice rising in frustration. "When will you learn some manners, boy?" The outburst is sharp, laced with the pent-up anger of a man still raw from loss. Jackie, witnessing her father's volatility, bristles with fury. She turns to John, her voice trembling. "Come on, let's get out of here." He follows her outside without a word, and once in the fresh air, she lights a cigarette with shaking hands, inhaling deeply to steady herself. John tries to soothe her, explaining that her father's harshness isn't personal. It's just his way of drilling proper behavior into his kids, a shield against the world's cruelties. Jackie scoffs bitterly. "What do you know about us?" John admits Rolf shared the burglary story, the one that stole her mother. But Jackie cuts deeper, revealing the unspeakable. That night, she'd been wearing a short dress, nothing provocative, just young and carefree. The intruders didn't just threaten. They violated her, their hands invading her innocence while she screamed. And Rolf? He blames her still, convinced that if she dressed more modestly, they might have left her alone. Her mother's desperate intervention to shield her daughter ended in bloodshed, and in the aftermath Rolf's grief twisted into iron-fisted rules. No short clothes, no risks, no chances for anyone to look at his girl the wrong way. It's suffocating, this overprotective cage. John, horrified, whispers apologies for the hell she's endured. Softening, Jackie turns the question back. What happened to him? John finally unburdens himself, the words tumbling out like a confession. On a family trip, exhaustion lulled him to sleep at the wheel. The car veered, crashed, and when the dust settled, his wife and little daughter were gone, ripped away in an instant because of his momentary lapse. Jackie's eyes well up. She murmurs how sorry she is, the shared scars forging an invisible bond. They linger there, two wounded souls in the fading light. Later, back at the cabin to fetch her bike, John suggests Jackie rest while he grabs her some water. But when he returns, he's met with a sight that stops him cold. Jackie, undressed and vulnerable, her skin glowing in the soft lamplight. Shock roots him to the spot. "Put your clothes on," he stammers, averting his eyes. She steps closer, her voice husky with intent. She wants to lose herself in intimacy, to feel something beyond pain. But John, his mind a whirlwind of propriety and fresh grief, gently but firmly helps her dress and urges her to leave. Hurt and angry, Jackie storms out, the door slamming like a final judgment. The dawn patrol on the beach brings unexpected encounters. John sees Rolf out fishing, rod in hand, lost in his own quiet vigil. Returning home, he finds Dora there again, her bandaged hand a reminder of his clumsiness. He asks after her injury better? She smiles faintly, admitting it's healing, but presses once more for work. John regrets he has none to offer. Just then, Jackie bursts in, uninvited but undaunted, claiming she's there to keep him and Dora company. John, bemused, invites them both for coffee. When Jackie reaches for a cigarette, he hesitates. Smoking's no good for her, he says, thinking of her fragility. Dora, overhearing, excuses herself and leaves abruptly. Alone now, John relents and hands Jackie a smoke. She lights up, exhales a plume of regret, and apologizes for last night's advance. Forgive her impulsiveness. To make amends, she proposes a hike up the nearby mountain, a chance to clear the air. Against his better judgment, John agrees and they set off together. The trail winds upward, but not without interruption. The inspector appears again, his uniform crisp, his questions probing. Where are they headed? Jackie brushes it off lightly. John's a friend of her dad's. They're just out for a walk. The officer's gaze lingers suspiciously, but he lets them pass. Unseen by them, his concern runs deeper. He's smitten with Jackie, on the verge of proposing marriage, and his interrogation stems from a fierce desire to keep her safe from any threats, real or imagined. They reach a breathtaking overlook, the world sprawling below like a painted canvas. But Jackie's composure crumbles. Tears spill as she confesses why she weeps so often. Her father, still haunted by that night, beats her for daring to wear anything remotely revealing, convinced it invites danger. John's heart aches for her. He pulls her into a comforting embrace, his hand stroking her hair until her sobs subside. Emboldened, they veer into the denser woods, where passion overtakes them. Clothes shed, bodies entwine in a fevered dance of desperation and desire, a brief rebellion against their fractured lives. Their stolen moment shatters like glass. Rolf's anguished cries echo through the trees. He's there in a boat with young Simon, his face a mask of betrayal. Panic surges. John and Jackie scramble apart, fleeing in terror. John races back to the cabin, heart hammering, and starts packing furiously, determined to vanish before the storm breaks. But Rolf arrives first, not with fury but an unexpected plea. He's come to invite John for dinner tonight, a gesture of uneasy truce. Trapped by politeness, John acquiesces and joins them that evening. Over the meal, John announces his imminent departure. The cabin served its purpose. It's time to move on. The news lands like a stone in still water. Jackie, seated across from him, subtly brushes her foot against his under the table, a secret Morse code of longing. But when he catches her eye later, she turns cold, refusing even a proper goodbye, her hurt masking deeper fears. Alone in the cabin that night, Jackie slips through the door like a shadow. Time is slipping away, she whispers. They have so little left. Upstairs, in the dim bedroom, they surrender to each other fully, bodies and souls colliding in a whirlwind of urgency and tenderness. As she dresses to leave, sated but sorrowful, Dora appears at the door, witnessing Jackie in disheveled post-coital glow. The truth dawns on her instantly and she says nothing, but her eyes speak volumes. John's blood runs cold. He imagines Dora rushing to Rolf with the damning tale. He grabs his bags, ready to bolt into the night. But Rolf bursts in wild-eyed and frantic, not for revenge but rescue. Simon's missing. He fears the boy has run away, overwhelmed by the family's toxic undercurrents. John, guilt twisting in his gut, vows to help search. They scour the woods, the beach, every shadowed corner, but the day yields nothing, no trace of the child. The next morning, as John trudges home from the store with fresh supplies, the inspector pulls up in his patrol car, face grim. "Get in," he commands. "I need to ask you some questions." In the confines of the vehicle, the officer grills him relentlessly. "What's really going on between you and Jackie?" John denies it all, his lies thin as paper. They drive to the riverbank, joining the grim hunt for Simon's body. Rolf and others have turned the search desperate, assuming the worst. But the waters give up no secrets. The boy remains a ghost. Back with Jackie, John tries to console her, promising he'll watch over the family, that her brother will turn up. Her uncle will find him, no doubt. But grief sharpens her tongue. She snaps at him, shoving away his empty reassurances, and storms off, her mind a storm of worry for Simon. John seeks out Rolf, his voice steady despite the chaos. If Simon doesn't surface soon, the authorities will declare him dead, lost forever. But don't lose hope, he urges. The boy's tough, he'll come home. And with that, John drops his own bombshell. In 2 days he's leaving for good, returning to the world beyond these woods. Rolf nods numbly, too broken to argue. Seeking solace, John heads to the river alone, stripping down and plunging into the current, the cold shock of fleeting purge. From the bank, he sees Jackie approaching, her steps deliberate. She disrobes without a word, joins him in the water, and they float together in silent communion. Climbing to a nearby hillock, they sit, the river murmuring below. "Why leave so soon?" she pleads, her hand finding his. John sighs, the truth bitter. If anyone here learns of their affair, the town, hell, Rolf, won't let him live. It's safer for everyone if he goes. But Jackie's eyes blaze with defiance. She loves him truly, and she'll leave with him, start anew far from this prison of memories. Their whispered dreams are crushed in an instant. Rolf emerges from the treeline, clutching a damning photo, evidence of their intimacy, snapped in a moment of carelessness. His suspicion was right all along, he growls. Jackie, face paling at her father's approach, flees to the water's edge. Rolf barks at her to dress properly and get home, now. She obeys, vanishing into the underbrush. Left alone with the patriarch's wrath, John stammers excuses, begging for clothes, for a chance to explain later. But Rolf's beyond reason. He signals the inspector, who's been shadowing Jackie like a guardian shadow, to take her away, keep her safe. Then, seizing a thick branch, Rolf swings it viciously at John's head. The blow lands with a sickening thud, blood pouring from the gash. John staggers, fleeing blindly toward the cabin, Rolf's curses chasing him like hounds. Inside, panting and bleeding, John confronts an unexpected intruder. One of those feral monkeys, eyes wild with territorial rage. He shoos it frantically, but Rolf crashes in behind him, weapon raised. The fight erupts in a frenzy of flailing limbs and guttural shouts. Fists, improvised clubs, raw survival. In the melee, John lands a desperate blow with a vase, shattering it across Rolf's temple. Crimson blooms on the older man's face. Horrified at the damage he's wrought, John lunges for the first aid kit. But the monkey, sensing weakness, lunges at the fallen Rolf, teeth sinking into flesh. John grabs a stick and beats the beast savagely, bludgeoning it until it lies still, lifeless. A mercy-killing turned execution. Jackie and the inspector arrive just then, drawn by the commotion. Rolf's mangled form sends them into hysterics. The officer scoops him up, barking orders for John to help load him into the car. Hospital now. But as they prepare to speed away, the inspector levels his gun at John's temple, his voice a venomous hiss. This is all because of you. But I won't kill you that easily, not yet. To Jackie, torn and trembling, he adds, get in the car. Your father needs you. It's a cruel choice, her lover or her blood, and with a final anguished glance at John, she chooses family. They peel out, leaving him in the dust. John watches the taillights fade, collapsing to his knees as sobs rack his body, the rejection a deeper wound than any blow. Stumbling back inside, he gathers the dead monkey's broken form, cradling it like a fallen child. I'm sorry, he whispers to the empty air, apologizing to the creature he slew in panic. And with that hollow elegy, the screen fades to black, the end of Sleeper's Wake, a tale inspired by a haunting novel. So, what did you think of Sleeper's Wake's story? It's a gripping romantic thriller where a grieving middle-aged man falls for a troubled young woman, knowing full well their forbidden love would never be accepted by society. They meet in secret, stolen moments fueling a fire that burns too bright. Jackie falls for him too, but in the crushing finale she chooses her father, a heartbreaking but utterly right decision for her. What do you make of that twist? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, we'd love to hear them. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, hit that button now and turn on notifications so you never miss an upload. Don't forget to like this video and share it with fellow film lovers, your support means everything. Catch you in the next one.